Welcome to the Betting Above the Rim podcast. Today's date, October 30th. Happy Halloween, folks. And episode 92, we stick to the NBA with these topics. First, a little bit of changes in Golden State as Jonathan Kuminga, once viewed as part of the future of the Golden State Warriors, has been moved to the bench. We'll talk about why Steve Kerr made this move. And does this set anything with the fact that Jonathan Kuminga didn't agree to a contract extension before the start of the regular season? Next, we head east to Philadelphia, where the drama of Joel Embiid's injuries or non-injuries or playing or not playing or whatever you want to call it has come to a head, with the 76ers being fined $100,000. I'm going to talk about whether Embiid gives a damn. Probably not. What does this mean for the Sixers? It don't matter. I'll give you a hint. Next, we'll head to games for this coming weekend. I would say Thursday, Friday, Saturday. I give you my favorite games to look at for a coach, and I'll give you some things that I want you to look at in regards to those matchups. Lastly, we're going to do the NBA. I'm going to do my top 10, and I want to pre-warn people. This is not what I think about top 10 in regards who's going to have the best career or who's going to be top 10 in regards to Rookie of the Year award. Based off of 1 week and the playing time that they're getting, I'm going to give you my top 10 rookies. It'll be a fluid thing that we'll probably do, I would say probably about once a month. Let's get the podcast started with big news out of the Bay, which was announced a couple of days ago, actually yesterday, which should say before the Golden State Warriors win over the New Orleans Pelicans, that Jonathan Kuminga, according to Shams Charania, is getting moved to the bench. Now, what's interesting with that is right off the bat, Steve Kerr made it simply put, it's about, hey, you're going to play a lot. And sometimes, folks, when you are a coach, and I want to commend Steve Kerr, to me, there's two ways to look at this. There's the whole adage of it's not who starts, but who finishes, right? That is something that I've always, as a coach, tried to relate to my players is, it doesn't matter if your name is called in the starting lineup. If your minutes are the same, what is the impact that you are bringing to the roster? Secondly, when you have a young player, an ascending player, a player that maybe isn't playing up to the level that you think because maybe they're pressing, maybe you decide to bring them off the bench. So when you look at someone and Jonathan Kuminga, right, and you look at the fact that he's coming off the bench, one thing that I had concerns with, folks, is I didn't like the depth of Golden State. I thought they don't have a ton of it. So to me, sometimes bringing someone off the bench to kind of even out your lineup could be something that could pan out. Now, let me say this to you, folks. For you people that were sitting there saying, oh, you moved to the bench. Oh, my God. All right, well, as I told you, Jonathan Kuminga, first came off the bench, 28 minutes, season high, 46.2% from the field, season high, 33% from three, season high, 3 assists, season high, means he moved the ball a little bit. But most importantly, season high 17 points. So when you look at Golden State and moving Kuminga to the bench, right, their starting lineup, for the last game was Moody and Podziemski in the backcourt, Draymond, Trace Jackson Davis, and of course, Bad Buddy. And I would say this really quick, folks. Buddy Hield, I know it's early, has been one of the best pickups in the NBA for what he's done. This guy was brought in to fortify the bench. Now, noted, he is the one that went into the starting lineup. So to me, that's getting them off to a good start. Someone that could space the floor. And then Jonathan Kuminga, someone who's more of a ISO guy, shot creator, shot distributor, someone that can get to the basket. It makes sense, right? It makes sense of why someone like Kuminga could benefit from coming off the bench, namely be more relaxed. When it comes to the extension, Golden State's in a very tricky spot, right? Because you have Draymond, you have Steph, you have Kevon Looney, but then you have Buddy Hield, but then and obviously Kyle Anderson, another veteran, but then you also have Kuminga, you have Moody, you have Podziemski, you have Trace Jackson Davis. They're in an interesting spot because Steve Kerr's got to try and win now and win for the long term. Maybe putting Bad Buddy in the starting lineup and putting Kuminga to the bench will ignite this team, a team that literally played really well in the second half. I think they were down double digits, I do believe, to the Pelicans at the break and ended up winning by 18. We'll see. Obviously, I think they play again tonight. By the time this podcast is out on Tuesday morning or Thursday morning, you'll have the final with that. But interesting developments out of Golden State, a team that I'm not high on, but if they can get Kuminga, if they can get Moody, if they can get Podziemski, if they can get these young guys to play better, Trace Jackson Davis, it bodes well for the long-term success for a proud franchise. Speaking of proud franchises, let's go east to Philadelphia, which Joel Embiid has been fined, or the 76ers, for their public statements regarding the health status of All Star center Joel Embiid. Right, sources say the investigation shows that the Sixers did not violate player participation policy with Embiid's missed games, but in fact, with the public comments, they did not properly reflect his health issues with the knee. Who cares? Like, I don't care. Like, what are we doing here? Like, the guy ain't playing. Why do they need to be fined for? Why? Because they talked about his knee injury and the fact that, listen, folks, we knew Joel Embiid was compromised last year at the end of the season. We knew Joel Embiid probably shouldn't have played on the Olympic team. We also know that Joel Embiid didn't give himself enough time after the Olympics to rest the knee up. Are we shocked that he was banged up? Are we shocked that he's not playing? No. So why is this a big deal? I'll tell you what, folks, it isn't. It isn't. If I'm a Philadelphia 76ers fan and I hate the 76ers, you don't care about this. All you care about is can JoJo get right before we get to the playoffs. And that's all that matters. You don't care about no damn 65 games. You don't care about no, regular season record. As long as you're in the top 6, you don't want to be, in the play-in tournament, in the play-in. You want to just get him healthy. And that's what they want to do with Paul George, with Joel Embiid. Like, they need those guys healthy. What is good for Philadelphia is they got an absolute heater in Tyrese Maxey. A Tyrese Maxey that when Joel Embiid is hurting or needs a night off, you could say, go give me a bucket. Because right now Tyrese Maxey is shooting at 30, is getting you about 31.3 points per game. Now listen, he's shooting it at 35% from the floor and 24% from 3. He's got to get that better, but he's made the score. You also got to realize that they have another scorer in Kelly Oubre. Do people remember in Charlotte, Kelly Oubre was a 20-point per game scorer? Like, Kelly Oubre can absolutely hoop. Now, Kelly Oubre riding bikes and getting hit by cars and all that other stuff, that's a story for another day. But Kelly Oubre and Tyrese Maxey, that's still in the East a top 7 backcourt, top 6 backcourt. Like, those two can absolutely cook. And you also got to talk about the play, the thought of Nick Nurse, right? Nick Nurse is one of the best coaches in the league, top 5 in the sport. Let's just put it right there. But they're getting play. Yabusele has been a good addition, the kid from France. Andre Drummond's averaging a double-double through 3 games. Kyle, don't call me Mike Lowry, is doing the work. Caleb Martin comes over. He's giving you 13, 14 points per game. All you need those guys to do until PG and JoJo get back is steady the ship. Tonight, Wednesday, home Detroit, should be a win. Then they go through a big stretch. Home Memphis Saturday, Monday at Phoenix, next Wednesday at the Clippers, next Friday at the Lakers, right? That's going to be a big stretch here. So it's going to be important for Philadelphia to try and win those two games before they go on the road to Phoenix, LA, and the Lakers. And you figure with at least the Clippers, you got to come home 1-2 out of that road trip. So if you're one game out of 500, of under 500, and then you have Charlotte and you have New York on the 12th, you can take your time. But let's just keep it real. Ain't nobody care about this Joel Embiid. Is he hurt? Not hurt? Are they reporting it? Not reporting it? They don't care. Simply put, as a basketball fan, even as a Knicks fan, I want to see Joel Embiid on the floor. He's my third best player in the NBA. And if Joel Embiid ever got it together and was never hurt, Joel Embiid is the best player in the NBA. Let's move on to our matchups for this rest of the week, starting with Thursday night with a big matchup between Milwaukee and the Grizzlies. When you look at this matchup, folks, I told everyone from Jump Street, and you can go look at the tape, that I had problems with Milwaukee. I just did. And right now they're off to a 1-3 start. If you look at it, they've given up 124, 133, 115, 119, right? But their ability to stop guards has been a problem. You want proof? I got proof. And I talked about this, I think, when we previewed the game between the Celtics. They don't stop guards. Last night versus Boston, for instance, Jaylen Brown, 30, right? I think Drew Holiday had 21. The game before that, Dennis Schroeder, don't call me Ricky Schroeder, Dennis Schroeder and Cam Thomas went for 29 and went for 32. You go to the game before that when they lost to Chicago by 11. Who are the guys that really torched them? You know, it was Zach LaVine, 25, Kobe White, 35, Josh Giddey, 17. Where am I going, folks? Uh-oh, here comes Ja. And if they can't stop those guys, who is more explosive than John Morant? And then I'll give you one better. What about Desmond Bane? Who? And they're going to be coming off a 3-point loss to the Bulls, right? And then you got to remember that Ja didn't even play. So if Ja plays, run to the window, John Morant over points. If Ja doesn't play, run to the window and take Desmond Bane over points. Either or, one of them gonna cook, because Milwaukee can't stop a nosebleed. And I'm telling you, I keep telling people this, I think you're gonna see a frustrated Giannis. It's already happening. And I think they're gonna come out of that game 1-4. Next matchup in the Lone Star State. Two teams that I think are going to be pretty good, in the Rockets heading to play Dallas. And Dallas is off to a good start at 3-1 after winning back-to-back games against Utah by 8, didn't cover the spread, and then going and winning at Minnesota 112, 114. Luka Doncic went absolutely nuclear. The Rockets are up and down, up and down. They're 2-2, and they just kind of split a 2-game mini road trip versus the Spurs. So when you look at this matchup, right, you gotta like what Dallas has been so far. But the thing I'm really looking at is, right, look at the scores of their games. Okay, 229, 216, 212, 234, I think, for Dallas. For the Rockets, 207, 215. The outlier against Memphis was 236. And then Charlotte was 215. Jason Kidd, folks, does not get credit for being one of the best defensive coaches in the league. You know who else is one of the best defensive coaches in the league? Sime Udoka. So a game that I think means a lot to both teams, right? Same state, rivalry matchup. I am looking squarely at the under and thinking that you may not get a ton of points. It's not out yet, right? But if that thing's at like 218, 219 and a half, most games, if you look at all the games in the NBA on tonight, on October 30th, right? The lowest total that you have right now in the NBA is Knicks Heat at 215. Everything else is 219 or above. So if that thing's hanging about 219, 220, take the under in Houston versus Dallas. Next game that we'll head and we'll start to dive into is on Friday night between Orlando and Cleveland. This is another matchup that I think you got to look at the under here. Cleveland has done a really great job, and I was on Cleveland really before the season started. I told people that Cleveland was going to win the Central Division. I thought that was one of the easier things to really look at because I thought of the improved coaching that you would have by Kenny Atkinson. By the way, J.B. Bickerstaff went to Detroit. I don't think they got a win yet. I don't know when they're going to get one, to be honest with you. So they've been kind of rectified here. But Cleveland at 4-0, when you look at them, I've just been so impressed with, I think, all their players, especially Evan Mobley, getting you about 18 points, 8 rebounds a game. But to me, you look at the fact that, guys, they got 4 guys giving you 17 plus points per game or more, and they get 6 guys getting you double digits. And I'm not including Wade and Merrill getting you 6 and 6.8. Simply put, Donovan Mitchell scoring less has made that team more dangerous. I want people to understand what I just said. Donovan Mitchell scoring less has made this team more dangerous. Now, I know it's early. Okay, I know it's early, folks. I'm not saying that this is going to be the outlier. It's kind of like we talked about last week, the last episode with Jason Tatum being in the top 10. Donovan Mitchell's shooting 50% from the floor right now. I know it's early. But take away that one season in Cleveland, his first season, we shot 48.4. Every other season, he's shot less than 46.5% from the floor. So you have a guy now that's scoring less but shooting at a higher clip, and other people getting involved, they become incredibly tough to guard. Speaking of tough to guard, did y'all see what Paulo Banchero did to the Pacers? Now, I told people Pacers don't play no damn defense, and that just ain't going to change. Indiana does not play defense and just get used to it. But still, shoot, giving someone a 50-piece, especially 37 in the first half, I am all about this matchup. And remember, folks, he's going against Pascal Siakam. Now, Siakam got into foul trouble early in the game, and Obi Toppin is not a strong defender. But 50 is 50. I just want to see those 2 young fours and Banchero and Evan Mobley play. Because I think Mobley is long and athletic enough that he could pose some issues. I do like Cleveland. I think the line will be relatively short. But if it's 2.5, if it's anything less than 4.5, I'm going to take Cleveland minus a point. If it's obviously 2.5 or less, then I'll just take him on the money line. Next matchup, 2 teams that are 2-2 for different reasons, and that's Denver versus Minnesota. Denver had to fight like hell. Folks, let me say this to you. And I talked about my concern. Denver had to fight like hell, ready, to beat Toronto and the Nets on back-to-back in overtime. Denver struggled to beat Toronto and the Nets, arguably two of the four worst teams in the Eastern Conference. Both games went to overtime. And they gave up 125 to Toronto, and they gave up 139 to the Nets. And then here they go, heading to Minnesota. A Minnesota team sitting at 2-2 after losing a tough game to Dallas by 6. I'm going to tell y'all something right now. Denver's in trouble. I don't even know what the spread is. It don't matter. Timberwolves minus the points. I don't know, because especially the fact that you have Minnesota going on the road the next day to play at San Antonio on a leg of a back-to-back, you always want to be sure that you are getting the first game of the back-to-back. So I would like to go ahead and tell you that I would be looking at the Minnesota Timberwolves minus the points in that game versus Denver. Last matchup, Cleveland-Milwaukee. Milwaukee's in trouble. Milwaukee's in trouble, and it can't stop guards. So I'm going to repeat what I just talked about before when I talked about Milwaukee. We talked about the game with Memphis. Run to the window at that game, and I would be looking squarely at Donovan Mitchell. Because if his scoring is down, it's going to come down in regards to what you can expect scoring-wise, right? And then if you think about Donovan Mitchell, you know, the way he could score and the way that the fact that I think weak defenders, I think you're looking at a situation that you can get Donovan Mitchell to go absolutely off. If you think about this, folks, and I just pulled this up, since joining Cleveland, and I want to just focus on the last 4 matchups, right? Because you have to think about the fact of Damian Lillard just getting there, okay? 32, 23, 31, 34. They hang that thing at 23.5 points, run to the window, take Donovan Mitchell to go over. Because simply put, I just don't think that Cleveland, I'm sorry, let me start over. I don't think that Milwaukee has capable enough defenders to stop any elite guard. So whether it's Spider Mitchell, Ja Morant, Halliburton, Maxey, Brunson, Luka, and Edwards, if you have a dominant guard, I'm sorry, Milwaukee can't check you, and if the numbers are inflated, go take the over points for that dominating scoring guard. Let's end today's podcast by talking about my top 10 rookies. I want to make sure people understand this. This is my top 10 rookies in regards to right now, in regards to what they're doing for their team. This is not me saying where they're going to be at the end of the year. This is not me saying this is going to be their careers. This is just right now. And I'll just spend a couple of seconds on each guy after I give you my top 10. Number 10, Dalton Knecht of the LA Lakers. Number 9, Jamal Shead of the Toronto Raptors. Number 8, Jameson Battle of the Toronto Raptors. Number 7, Yves Missi out of New Orleans Pelicans. Number 6, Bud Carrington of the Washington Wizards. Number 5 is Ryan Dunn of the Phoenix Suns. Number 4, Alex Sarr of the Washington Wizards. Number 3, Zachary Risache out of the Atlanta Hawks. Number 2, Stefan Castle. And number 1, Big Zach Edey. So when we go back to number 10 and circle way backwards, Dalton Knecht hasn't gotten the minutes yet, right? They're getting about 17, 18 minutes a game. But Dalton Knecht is giving something their ability to do, which is shoot the ball from 3. He's going to be in that second team. That's the kind of minutes he's going to get. Number 9, Jamal Shead is an intriguing one with Jamal because of the fact of he was a second-round draft pick, and I've always been a big Jamal Shead guy. But Jamal Shead brings winning, Jamal Shead brings defense, and Jamal Shead brings toughness, and also an ability to score. So Jamal Shead at number 9 makes sense here because of the fact that he's at a place where he's got to play a lot. Speaking of the Toronto Raptors, the surprise pick of this, and it's not even close, has been Jamison Battle. Jamison Battle, folks, if I'm not mistaken, wasn't even drafted, right? And Jamison Battle, coming off the bench, is giving you 7.8 points per game, 3.8 rebounds. Folks, now also remember, they just lost Scotty Barnes. So Jamison Battle's numbers and minutes should go up. If anything, Jamison Battle, it's great when people like Masai Ujiri is one of the best GMs in the sport, goes and he finds diamonds in the rough. Number 7, Yves Missi out of New Orleans. And this is one, if you really think about it, it's going to make sense. Jonathan Valanciunas leaves in free agency, right? And right now, you're looking at the fact that they're starting, I do believe, Daniel Theis at center. But Daniel Theis is only getting 18.8 minutes a game. If you look at Missy, a high-flying, athletic big, getting you 8.5, 5.8 points, for a rebounds game of 22 minutes. This is a guy, folks, that you may start to look at points plus rebounds, and you may have to start sniffing at the double-double market if he gets the minutes. Folks, you got to think about this. 7 rebounds in 23 minutes. 6 rebounds in 22 minutes. 7 rebounds in 22 minutes. If this kid gets 30, 31 minutes in a night and they put him in the starting lineup, this kid could be a double-double machine here. And with the ability of the driving angles of Zion and the shooting ability of Trey Murphy III, the shooting ability of Brandon Ingram and CJ McCollum, this guy can lie around the weeds, and this guy can get offensive rebounds and get putbacks and kind of make his mark. So let's make sure we're looking at Yves Missi and make sure that you understand what he's doing. Next, Bud Carrington. I mean, my guy Sammy Yarnell, producer at Sports Grid, is going to be going absolutely gaga that I'm going to be talking about Bud Carrington. And you could argue that I could have 3 rookies from the Washington Wizards on this list. Folks, they're not very good. But this is about development, right? This is about development. And Bud Carrington out of Pitt is someone that is a shot taker and a shot maker. So if you look at Bud Carrington right now, getting you 8.7 points per game, right? The guy is playing 24 minutes, right? He's playing 24 minutes a game. And he is getting up, 6.3 shots. And he started 2 of the 3 games. So Bud Carrington, for a team in Washington that is going nowhere, is going to have to give this kid minutes. So when you start looking at the Wizards roster, and it kind of brings Alex Sarr into the conversation, right, is Bud Carrington starting at the 2. Well, Brogdon's hurt. So as long as Brogdon's out, Bud Carrington's going to be a scorer. So you need to start looking at Bud Carrington around that 7.5, 8.5 points per game, and look at games where you can get 10 plus, especially against teams that are not strong defensively at the guard spot. When you come to Alex Sarr, this kid, I didn't understand what they were doing in regards to why did they draft Sarr but then sign Jonas Valanciunas. Right now they're playing them together. I think Sarr is a better player as a 5 than as a 4. So I think what you're going to see is you're going to see Sarr's minutes kind of be around at 25, 27 minutes. He's going to struggle from 3 sometimes, but he can rebound the ball. And if they get rid of Valanciunas and slide him to the 5, Alex Sarr could be a double-double machine every night. I really do believe it. I think it's the fact that he's a 4 playing with Valanciunas is going to affect him. We got to get him at the position that he's more natural of. My number 4 rookie, Alex Sarr. Let me go backwards to 5 because I wanted to do the 2 Wizards guy together. And that's Ryan Dunn. I'll talk about his next podcast because Ryan Dunn went to Virginia and Tony Bennett. You know what? I'm going to spend a quick minute with this right now. As a coach, this is bothering me that we're losing a lot of great coaches. We lost Jimmy Boeheim. We've lost Krzyzewski. We've lost Jay Wright. We've lost Bennett, right? We lost Roy Williams. Folks, we lost these coaches because of NIL. We lost these coaches because of transfer portal. And we are driving these older coaches out of college basketball. Simply put, recruiting sucks in college basketball. It's part of the reason why I probably don't want to get back into coaching college. I talked to a good friend of mine that was a longtime assistant that got out. Why? Do you know how hard it is that you got to re-recruit your kids basically every day to not leave your program? Do you realize how hard it is that you got to go into and look at the transfer portal every day? You know how hard it is to try and compete and do NIL and basically be moved to these boosters and these kids? The NCAA, who I have called the biggest bunch of gangsters out there because they're all about filling the administrators' pockets. Now they want to fill the kids' pockets. Do you know why they want to fill the kids' pockets, folks? Because they can't get their pockets filled. And the only way the NCAA is going to fill their pockets is if they let the kids eat. Now it's so goddamn out of control that it's nuts. And you're going to continue to run great coaches out. When are we going to lose a Mark Few? When are we going to lose a Tom Izzo? When are we going to lose a Kelvin Sampson? I'm talking about these older coaches that have been around for a long time that are just going to leave because of the fact that college basketball is a damn mess. I hope they get it together. I don't think they will. Now, going back to what we were talking about with Ryan Dunn. Ryan Dunn is exactly what Phoenix needed. They needed a guy who could play some damn defense. And Ryan Dunn is the perfect complement to all those guys in Phoenix because his ability to play defense, because let's be honest, he's basically a better version of Josh Okogie. Right? So Ryan Dunn, who is only giving you 15 minutes a game, but giving you 7.8 points, shooting 52.2% from the floor, 44% from three, Ryan Dunn is someone that can shoot the ball, okay? And this Ryan Dunn is someone that I think was in the perfect spot, okay? Now, at Virginia, he only shot 31.3% from three, so he's shooting it better. But he's the perfect complement of that defensive presence that they need in the front court. At 6'8", can guard probably 1 through 3. Let's end the podcast talking about those last three guys. Number 3, Zachary Richichet. Between Jalen Johnson and Deontay Hunter, one of them always gets hurt. So Zachary Richichet is going to see an uptick in minutes as you have an injury right now. He's day-to-day, but he's always seems day-to-day with DeAndre Hunter. Zachary Richichet is going to get the minutes because I think Atlanta is going to move DeAndre Hunter at some point. So Zachary Richichet, who right now is getting you, 22.5 minutes, 7.3 points per game. I think if Zachary Richichet can get to about 30 minutes a game, I think he could be 11-point per game scorer. Zachary Richichet, my number 3 rookie, based on what I've seen right now in regards to playing time. Number 2, Stephon Castle. Stephon Castle is in the perfect situation. He's got a Hall of Famer that is a mentor, and he's also playing with, what I talked about, top 10 player in the league. So when you look at Stephon Castle, again, you about 6.7 points per game, hasn't played more than 27 minutes, but he's going to fill up the box score. Okay, he's got 5 assists in 2 out of 3 games, right? So to me, when you look at him, you got to be looking at about points plus assists is something you need to be looking at with Stephon Castle. his minutes aren't going to go up because he's still going to be playing behind CP3. But I do like what I've seen out of Castle. And I will say that, and I've said this before, I think Stephon Castle is going to have the best career out of anybody in this draft. But number one is going to be Zach Edey for the simple fact of what they need from Zach. Right? He's gotten himself into foul trouble. He's got to figure out the NBA game. But when he does, this guy is a walking double-double. The game is fast for him. It's really fast. So you got to look at when he's got to go against centers that don't go outside. For instance, it's too late for people to say this right now, but they're playing Memphis. They're playing the Nets tonight. Zach Edey double-double tonight should be a hammer, right? Because he's going against Nick Claxton and Noah Clowney. So if it's against those guys, if it's going against centers that hang around the basket, right? If like the Valanciunas, right? Those plotting bigs. If he's around the basket, he doesn't have to chase, pick and pop, stuff like that. Zach Edey should be a double-double guy. Now, listen, like I said, he's struggled a little bit with the pace, and he's going to have to do a little bit of a better job of navigating himself through it. Only 5 points and 5 rebounds, but he fouled out in 15 minutes. The dude got 5 and 5 in 15 minutes. Right? He's come close to a double-double at 13 and 9 because he can overpower Şengün. Find the matchups. And if you find the matchups, you can find value at Zach Edey to get a double-double. Once again, my top 10 rookies based off the first week of the season just on their playing time. Number 10, Dalton Knecht of the Lakers. Number 9, Jamal Shead of the Toronto Raptors. Number 8, Jameson Battle of the Toronto Raptors. Number 7, Yves Missi of the New Orleans Pelicans. Number 6, Bud Carrington of the Washington Wizards. Number 5, Ryan Dunn of the Phoenix Suns. Number 4, Alex Sarr of the Washington Wizards. Number 3, Zachary Risache of the Atlanta Hawks. Number 2, Stephon Castle out of the San Antonio Spurs. My number 1 rookie based off of right now, Zach Edey. This has been episode 92 of the Betting Above the Rim podcast for October 30th. For all things sports gambling, please go download that Sports Grid app. Pre-game, end-game, post-game, props, predictions, and more from the very best in the sports gambling industry. Next podcast will come on Monday. Remember, folks, the opening day of college basketball is up a week. It is Monday, so we will do a full preview of college basketball. I'll give you my preseason All-American teams. I'll give you, for men's and women's, I'll give you my national champion and my Final Four, along with previewing some games in the NBA. For my producer, Matty George, Vinny, who always does a great job with the graphics, thank you as always, folks, for listening. And remember, it's smarter to be on Sports Grid. Good night. All right.